toes. What's up, everyone?
Yo.
This is a crazy episode. We're doing an interview with Dan Frank, and we are somehow mixing Skype with a computer with Facebook Live. I'm not sure how this works exactly. It's tech wizardry. Nice fingers, dude. That was good. So we're gonna interview a TV, and then I don't know.
So let's set up the audience really quick. Let's tell them what are we doing?
Yeah, so we got an avid floater, a Zen Float tent owner, Dan Frank. Say hi, Dan.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
And we are going to ask him all sorts of questions about floating and just what it's like having a float tent. You got to talk something. Go, Carrie. So Dan.
How did you hear about floating?
I actually heard about floating dual-fold. One through Joe Rogan's podcast, which many people quote Joe Rogan, right?
Me too.
Hail to Joe Rogan. Actually, there was a street fair here in Philadelphia. I'm from Philadelphia, and there was a street fair, and I had a local float spa open up, and stumbled across this table they had, and I actually won a free float, which was interesting. And I wasn't really, I didn't know much about it other than having listened to Joe Rogan's podcast and whatnot, and then very new agey things. And someone said, "Hey Dan, it's not new age at all. It's very old school." And I'm old school myself, so I did the research, and I really, that's how I found out about it. I kind of took the plunge, so to speak, and within the first float, I really felt there was something there for me. So,
How long ago did you say that was?
I'd say it was about approaching 3 years now.
Okay, cool, man. I found out about floating through Joe, too. So
Same.
we got that in common.
Me too.
All right. How many times did you float before investing in the Zen Float tent?
I'd say I was floating, and that's something I'm working on, is trying to keep track of how much I floated. But I'd say I floated probably a few dozen floats.
Oh, cool. So you were like totally comfortable floating, and then you're like,
I started in a Smoddy tank. I floated in an escape pod. I floated in a few cabins. So I had a range of experiences. I pretty much knew right away that I wanted this to be part of my life, and and that's how we met. Actually, we started talking, and the adventure began at home.
Yeah, dude. So, just like a lot of people are concerned, like, oh, what if a float tent doesn't capture sensory deprivation? Has the float tent captured the same thing the tanks offer for you?
Definitely. I mean, much like any kind of exercise or meditation, there's a certain amount of practice, time you have to commit to it. So, I do find I have to commit to that to stay in my routine. But yeah, definitely the experience is very similar, if not superior. I mean, the fact that I can float at 2 a.m. I'm a creative, and the ability to have access to that, to not have a timer running, or just to play with it at different times of the day and experiment with it, it's been a tremendous tool for me in a number of areas.
Yeah, it's priceless floating like whenever, however long.
It's crazy that he floated 12 times before looking into at home. That's important, though.
Yeah, it's for everyone who's interested in a float tent, go floating first a few times. Make sure you love it. And then if you love it, get back in touch with us for sure.
Yeah, I'd say within what you guys know, within the first 2 or 3 floats, so you know whether there's something there for you or not. I know a lot of people are apprehensive at first. I knew right away that there was something here. There's something there for me. So
yeah,
for sure. All right, mate.
All right, I'm up.
Yeah, you're up.
Okay. You did number 2. So.
We're talking to a TV.
We're talking to a TV here. Okay, give us some slack.
I'm capturing the shot, guys.
Yeah.
I'm capturing the shot.
I think we're nailing it.
Number 3?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he kind of says that. Oh, no, that's rhythm. Go ahead.
So Dan,
I don't have the script. I'm the only one without a script. Why is that?
I know.
I'm messing it up. Go ahead, mate.
How often do you float?
How often do I float? So I kind of alluded to this, right? It's a practice. Best case scenario, I found myself floating 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes I've gotten out of that practice and only floated once a week, and I'm actually kind of trying to fall back into my practice. So ideally, I would float about 3 times a week, and it's something you have to build up. If I find I haven't floated in a while, and I get back in the tank, I'll have some pretty deep sessions, and I'll say, "Wow, you've been missing this. You need this more." So yeah, I mean, as a rule of thumb, to answer your question, I'd say probably 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week.
How long do your floats usually last?
I'd like to say, I set 90 minutes is usually my baseline. Sometimes I'll do a power float, if you will, and try and squeeze in 45 minutes to 60 minutes somewhere. Then again, I've gone in the tank and set my alarm or what have you, and came out 3 hours later. So I've had a myriad of experiences. But my baseline would probably be an hour and a half. I try to shoot for, but I find at least an hour being like the minimal therapeutic value.
Yeah. Cool. You want to run with one? I got it. What have you noticed as far as your life? Have you noticed any changes in your everyday life when you're not floating because of floating?
Yeah, definitely. I've struggled. Well, may I just air this out to the world? I've struggled with anxiety, as many people have in this world. Right? Yeah, Shane, we talked about that, and so I've struggled with anxiety. I'm also creative. I work in IT. So I have many screens in front of me all day. Overstimuli, right? In general, I live in a very big city. So what have I noticed? I noticed feeling a little bit helter-skelter when I don't float. I feel less grounded, less focused. And for those reasons, I mean, floating has helped. Not to get ahead of us in the question and session, but floating has helped on the anxiety many times. I mean, I come out and I still have, I go in with baseline problems. I come out with the same problems, but I'm okay with those problems. I'm okay with them. I know they're there, and I sort of can compartmentalize things. So it's been helpful with that. As a creative, I've gone in with, in creative, if you will. I'm a designer. I teach, and I've gone in with some creative challenges, and I've come out with really good sort of breakthroughs, if you will. So yeah, I forget what the question was actually. No, but
it's almost like your brain's more powerful in a float tank, for me at least. Like, it's like I get a little extra boost in power because I'm not monitoring everything and in the normal world. So I really feel like you get a little 5 or 10% edge in your thinking. For me.
I do too. I mean, I've gone in with very specific intentions and come out with a completely different train of thought and a different set of goals, if you will. It's almost like sometimes your mind becomes a ping pong ball in there and just takes over. But I think it's part of the process and part of your mind doing what it needs to do. And the flotation tank helps facilitate getting to that point and adding that clarity and kind of surfacing, I guess, priorities, if you will, an idea.
For sure. I come to things I don't think I would come to outside of a tank, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, you got it.
Okay, so can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay. All right. How inclined were you to share floating with your family or friends? Or, I mean, did you at all? Or
I'm terrified. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm very inclined to. I've turned a number of friends onto floating. I've been able to encourage them to float. Not here. How dare they go near my tank or my tent, right? But I have a friend who owns, and actually I have 2 float spas now within walking distance to my house. That speaks to the popularity, right, of a friend. But yeah, I've definitely turned a few people on, both in for sports recovery, people that I've met in in my now practice of mindfulness and yoga, which I started probably as a result of floating. So thank you for that. Yeah, I've been able to turn a number of people on to floating. and there has been some reluctance, but yeah, I've pointed them to some great literature. Shane, your book's really inspiring.
Oh, thanks,
really
man.
Definitely a good read. And Joe Rogan doesn't hurt the cause either. I think the majority of the people who know about floating have seen that.
Yeah.
And then you see now the rise of like Stephen Curry and the NBA and on all these sports teams.
That's big
how they're
time.
using it to concentrate. It's just amazing. I did some research recently about how the Navy SEALs are even
learning
using
in there.
floating. Yeah, they're learning, and
that.
people are learning languages X amount quicker and exponentially faster through the use of sensory deprivation. So, anyway, sorry, Mason, your question.
Yeah.
I have turned some people onto floating, and the ones who've taken my advice have really liked it.
Cool.
I've noticed like some people, I tell them about floating, and I just know like they're just might not be the type to get in a tank.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people like self-improvers, a little more holistic. They're like super down.
You know what's weird is I see a lot of people that I get that reaction where it's kind of like, oh, that's cool. But
What
then,
are you doing there?
But then you mention Steph Curry or you mention
Yeah.
NFL, and they're like, oh, all right, let's do this.
That's a big. I mean, as much as we don't want to admit it, credibility and celebrity endorsement, it works. I mean,
Yeah. It's just funny how that works.
it is weird. It's like human nature.
Yeah.
Weirdness.
I think some people, the biggest apprehension I've seen from some people is they fear they're going to feel confined and claustrophobic. And to be honest with you, I feel quite the opposite in most tanks I've been in, and especially in my Zen tent. It's rather big in there, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I can rest, and I feel very much at peace. So, that has been really probably the one deterrent that most people push back on. They're like, oh, I'm going to feel like I'm in a little cage of some sort. And I'm like, the opposite. I think you're going to actually feel like you're coming out of your cage, maybe. So,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Not to mention, like, a lot of times people have claustrophobic issues, and it's like, leave the door open and get comfortable.
Yeah.
You can just keep the door open your whole first float or 2 or 5, and
Yeah.
and then you got to just kind of tell yourself, if I want out, it's as easy as like out, like you just push the wall. So
Just kick and punch your way out.
yeah, kick and punch. All right, is it my turn?
You're up.
All right. If you had to convince someone to try floating, and we were just talking about this a little, but what would you say to get them in a tank? Like if you had a short amount of stuff to say.
That's a tough one. I mean, I would probably grasp onto that person if I know the person does yoga or does anything meditative or any type of self-awareness or any type of mindfulness they practice. I would encourage them to take whatever their method is into the tank. Because, I mean, I practiced actually hypnotherapy, I practiced yoga. I've done it all in terms of trying to get to the baseline of anxiety lessons, if that's the word. But taking the things I've learned through these other practices in the tank has helped make the tank experience even probably that much better for me. So I would encourage them to, use whatever foundations they have and take them into the tank with them. And also, as you said, pointing at some of the celebrityness, some of the endorsements, pointing at some of the success stories. More and more, there's more documented evidence to point out and more data to point out that is beneficial.
Yeah.
So that's probably the way I would lead them.
A lot of people have seen some of those endorsements. That's actually, like you're mentioning, like you try and figure out what the person's about. But I actually wrote the book in part because as soon as you know what they're into, you can kind of tell them the benefits of that realm. Anxiety, panic, athletics, spiritual exploration, find kind of what they're interested in and talk about that. But we did like a booth at an event, and people would come up and I wouldn't know where to start with people.
Yeah.
And then it's like there's so many benefits. You got to have a starting place.
Remember.
Yeah. All right.
I'm up.
You're up, man.
Okay, so we've kind of talked about what you do other than floating to maintain your health, hypnotherapy and yoga. But what are some other things that you do just to keep yourself healthy? I guess.
It's a tough one. Not enough, to be honest with you, Mason. But
Me too,
Me
man.
neither.
I try to eat healthy. Actually, yoga's a new practice for me. So I've recently started yoga, and at first that was totally a physical thing, and now that I'm a few months into it, I'm starting to see connections and starting to see the mental aspects of it and benefits of it, and I can see some similarities between experiences I've had in yoga practice and in flotation. Some of the other things I try to keep active. I try to practice and read about mindfulness. As an anxious person, as a person that's in IT and constantly multitasking, a single father, I live in a majorly big city, right smacking down the middle of Philadelphia. I just screwed up the whole thing.
That's hard to say.
Smack dab in the middle of Philly.
Middle of Philly?
Yeah, right in Philly, right? I'm right down here, so right in the thick of it all on the East Coast. And it's hard for me, honestly, it's hard for me to shut it all off. So I really do embrace the tank, and we do embrace my flotation, because it's honestly been one of the first ways I've been able to shut things off, and without any chemical help, right? Without any kind of, it's amazing. So like I said, not to repeat or sound like a broken record, I took to it initially, the first float, I knew there was something there. And then many floats in, I started toying with the idea of building my own tank. And I think that's when I met you, Shane, and started talking to you for advice. And then I realized, hey, you guys got this figured out already.
Yeah.
You got a tight product, and we talking, and and then from there it's been a journey, a great one. That was a really good experience, and I'm grateful that I went that route, and it has helped me.
And we are too. But seriously, like, I can totally side with you with anxiety. I remember when I first started floating, it was like I truly was turning off that anxious cycle for like an hour at a time, and I noticed like I could access the float state when my life was anxious. I could like just remember what it's like to be totally peaceful. And it was like I had a tool built in my brain. It was pretty cool. All right, my turn.
You're up.
Cool, man. Do you see floating becoming more common in everyday life for more people?
I do. I mean, number one, I think we've covered this, but yeah, I mean, you see it spreading into sports and professional athletics. You see the military using it for training and for recovery and PTSD. I know people that are using it for PTSD. I have 2 or 3 float spas now within walking distance of my house, so that tells you something's going on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of growth opportunity there. I think people just need to kind of get past the reluctance to try it and to learn what it is. It just seems to have a shroud, I mean, I guess people read some of John Lilly's work and confuse it or wonder or think they're going to have some crazy hallucinogenic experience. See, I apologize. That's what I try to get away from.
Yeah.
Exactly. I need to get my tank. I think some people, they read about, John Lilly and his pioneering of flotation therapy, and they think it's going to be this crazy psychedelic experience, and it's not really. It hasn't been for me anyway. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe I'm doing something right, but no, it hasn't been a scary thing at all. So I do see it continuing to grow. And more you see it featured in more articles, magazines, media. You see more celebrity endorsements, and I think pretty soon we're going to start seeing. I'm a data person, and I think we're going to start really seeing the data to support it. So yeah, I totally see it growing. I know you guys do, and then with a tool like yours, having the ability to do it in your home doesn't limit me to the schedule of my buddy's shop, or if I float at 10 p.m., I don't have to, special favor with him to get him to open up the door for me or whatever. I can really, really toy with that, and it really does do what works for me. I'm a morning floater, personally.
Me too.
Yeah, like I think you said, the Shane film, a live or alert when you float. I find if I float like before bed, I'm very calm and very sedate afterwards, but my mind goes to work after. But I'm very much like on. So I like to float in the morning when I'm almost still half awake, kind of coming to. I know what my day has in store for me before I have any coffee, and yeah, that seems to be what works for me and the pattern that works for me. But to circle back, yeah, I mean, how could it? You guys are where you are. You guys have grown great, done well, and I hope you continue well. And
thanks, man.
I think the industry speaks for itself. I mean, I'm definitely a proponent, and I might not be the celebrity endorsement yet, working on that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the data's there, and I think the data will only continue to grow. So yeah I agree.
Get this, when I built my tank in my basement, however many years ago that was, 6 or 7 years ago, there was like 30 float centers. The closest one was in Vegas. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I just heard from the Perrys, Glenn and Lee Perry, that 390 float centers if you count the ones people run out of their home.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
It's crazy, man. It's explosive.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Is it me or you?
Me.
Cool, me.
Do you have any tips for new at-home floaters? Like, is there anything that you would recommend? Any pro tips?
That's a cool question.
Yeah, I would say definitely keep up on maintenance.
I'm so happy you said that.
Right, yeah, I
Makes
mean,
my
that's
job
big.
easier.
It's easier to, and you know what, I have to say that's the one, so I float at home all the time, but I still do float at a buddy's shop once in a while, because floating at home is great, but I always want to make sure I do my cleaning up and keep everything tidy, and sometimes the one deterrent of floating at home is that I have to make sure this is clean, I have to make sure this is perfect based on, versus going somewhere and just, throwing the towels on the floor and saying, you take care of it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you take pride in it. Tips I would people, maintenance is number one. Make sure your setup area is proper before you set it up, because once you set that puppy up, you're not moving it. I'm a year and a half. What am I? A year and a half in, I think, Shane, and I haven't moved it. I've been fortunate enough to be in my first water cycle, more or less, with proper maintenance. So maintenance is key. Aside from that, I would say, try different times of the day, try different techniques.
Tech difficulties. Please.
Little breakup.
Please.
Oh, there we are, and we're back.
All right.
Yeah, no, I agree with
We
you.
almost got far.
That was so scary.
And
Oh, man.
we're back.
I mean, I would say maintenance is key, placement is key, and then getting your own rhythm and just feeling it out and learning what works for you. Those are probably the best tips I could give to anybody.
I agree.
Cool, man.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
Stay on it.
I think we should wrap up with, is there just any other things that you'd want anyone to know, even about kind of what you're up to, if people want to look into what you're up to, or any last
Yeah,
words?
what do you have going on, Dan?
Yeah.
I have something going on that I would love to talk about right now, but I can't yet.
We'll have you back on, then.
But no, that's great. And actually, I need to pick your brain, Shane and Mason, anyway. But no, I'm working on some technologies that I think are going to help people in mindfulness, especially in floating, and tracking their progress and enhancing their experiences. So me, personally, I'm a user experience designer. I work for a big data company. I design software. I'm a DJ. Wow, that's my autobiography. I never thought I'd be writing one today. You put me on the spot there. But no, I'm a busy guy. But as I said, sometimes I go in circles. I have 50 things to do, and I'm chasing my tail, and I don't get anything done. And I find that's when I'm like, wait a minute, you haven't floated in 4 days, bro. Like that's your problem. You need to float. And honestly, I mean, I'm not joking. It definitely does make a difference, and it brings everything kind of back to perspective. It doesn't take anything off my plate, but it definitely helps me organize my plate and deal with my plate a little bit better, and with a much springier step and a better outlook on things. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, and I hope to be back to talk about and to unveil some of my secret projects.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely didn't put you on the spot, so.
Yeah, sorry. We were going to talk about ailments, but I think we covered so much.
Yeah, we went over it.
Dude, let us know when your thing is ready to debut, and we'll help you.
Ailments? Are you going to diagnose me with anything else today? No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for being on, man. I really just feel like people need to see that all types of people float for all different reasons, and it's so beneficial, and it's cool to have you on sharing your experience. It's cool.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
It's always interesting when you talk to someone who hasn't. It's almost scary because you never know how people are like, what is this sensory deprivation tank you speak of? And there is an allure, and I think hopefully that allure, we'll see that continue to trend down and people's apprehension to decrease. But yeah, no, I'm proud.
Nobody move. We're frozen too. What are you doing?
This is how I get luck to happen.
Yeah, we're praying.
Come on, baby. Technology. Well, that was an awesome episode. I was hoping he could say goodbye.
Yeah.
Let's chat for like 10 seconds.
You want to do something with that, or?
Oh yeah.
Bail out.
Almost here.
Dan, we're hoping you can say goodbye, man. Come on, baby.
Technology.
My name is Dan. Goodbye.
I want to explain what we're doing just a little more. So we have a laptop on a table with Skype.
There you go.
Talking to a TV with a phone doing live.
He's back.
I'm a real person, man. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know where it was. I was trying to wrap this, man. I was doing my elevator pitch. I don't know where I work, but
You're solid, man.
At the end of the day, people are apprehensive, and some people look at you like you're crazy until you really explain it to them or until you get them to try it. But at the end of the day, I'm very glad that I tried floating. I'm very glad that I embraced it. It's helped me tremendously, and I'm really glad that I met you guys. I met you, Shane. You started talking, and you guys have been. Your product's been great, and you guys have been there for me like every step of the way, like from questions to problems, and I have to give you kudos to that. And they're not paying me to do that or that.
Yeah.
I'm
not.
Just,
thanks for saying.
Wink, wink, wink. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, no. I wish you guys all the best because you've made it possible for me to take floating to the next level, and hopefully that's going to inspire me and help me with some of these things that I'm working on. So I'm very grateful to you guys, and I'm glad to be a guest here for you today. And I hope we can continue to build on our relationship, and I hope you will have more continued success with the Zip Float tank. It's a great product.
Thanks, man. Thanks for saying all of that. Seriously.
Really appreciate that.
It's been cool having you on, especially as our first virtual interview.
You're the first.
Dude, we did it.
You have that title forever.
Is it possible to bones through a TV? Bam.
That might be the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah,
have a good day.
Later.
All right. God bless. Take care.
Cool, man. That was awesome.
All right. Well, do you want to wrap it up really quick for everybody?
Where
are you going?
Yeah. Shane's done. Wrap it up for everybody.
Bro.
At the end of the day, I don't know.
That was cool.
That was great.
Yeah.
I love Dan.
It felt like he's really endorsing it because it's real, but it felt like an endorsement, but it's awesome.
Yeah, we've talked to him a lot. He's been in contact with us ever since he got the tent.
Yeah.
Pretty much constant contact. Just conversations, and it's been great.
He's a good dude. I want to give you a shout out, man, because you're like support team, right?
Yeah.
So, dude, nice work. Seriously.
Yeah.
So go float, go float, go float.
Yeah, if you haven't floated, go to a center. And if you love floating and want more, come to us. And if you love the float center, stay at the center, man. Whatever works for you. We just want hardcore floaters.
Also, I know that you're watching Steph Curry, so just get with us.
Get at me, bro. Hey, I got a documentary we're working on, so Steph Curry.
You snuck that in there.
Come at me, bro.
Okay.
We'll get you on. Is that it?
Go float.
Go float.